This is Priscilla Martinez with Tuned In to NoCo. Today I'm here speaking with Justin Clapp from Larimer Humane Society. How are you today?
Good, Priscilla. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. I hope you had a good New Year's.
It was excellent. Yeah, it turned out really, really good. Good to get back into the shelter, but it went by way too fast.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's start the questions. Justin, can you please tell me, for those who are unfamiliar out there, can you please give us some information on the Larimer County Humane Society?
Yeah, so Larimer Humane Society, a lot of people, when they think of Larimer Humane Society, the first thing they think is a location where people can adopt all animals of all types, which is very true, and that's our first priority. But, we not only focus on adopting animals to their forever families, it's also about educating the public about taking care of animals, responsible pet ownership, and also just full-fledged education as well, too. So when I say that is really focused on, we do programs throughout the year that work with kids in the community to sort of set them up with that education at a younger age. So as they get older, they're building that success in working with animals in the future as well, too. So Larimer Humane Society encompasses all of that. Also, working with families that have pets at this point in time, which they may have behavior issues, or maybe the family is moving out of town, and working with that family to provide a new home for that animal as well. So we really encompass a lot here. Like I said, a lot of people think the first thing they think is we adopt out animals, but it is a lot that goes on underneath this roof.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, I didn't even know that. But hey, education, that's great.
Exactly.
Can you tell me, how did you find your way to the Larimer Humane Society?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually worked in media for 20 years. And a few years ago, I got out of media, but I wanted to really focus my career on making a difference. And my favorite phrase that I use, especially working here at Larimer Humane Society, is working for an organization where when you walk in the door in the morning, you have a chance to make a difference. And when you leave at the end of the day, you've made that difference. So I started doing nonprofit work 3 years ago, started with Larimer Humane Society in August of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, essentially right in the middle of the pandemic. And I got to say, it is such a great organization to work for because, again, it goes back to knowing that you're making a difference. And what's cool about working here is no matter what position or what department you work in at Larimer Humane Society, you see that difference each day. For me, it's when we talk about animals on our social media and we may profile a dog, a cat, a guinea pig, whoever it is, and 2 hours later, we find out that that animal got adopted. And it was because somebody saw them being profiled on our social media. So for me, that's where I see the difference. For the rest of our team, whether it's our vet services team, they see the difference in helping out the animals and their health each day. Our shelter team, which sees them being able to adopt out these animals to their forever families on a daily basis. So that's how I got started here. And it's been a great position to be a part of.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's very rewarding. I love it. I love what you guys do.
Thank you.
And speaking of what you just touched on with the pandemic and whatnot, people went and adopted a lot of animals and it was great. And then they started going back to work and it was kind of an issue of rehoming them and everything. But what I want to know is, how big of an issue is there in Northern Colorado with shelter animals at this point right now?
I will say, and that was one of our biggest fears at the beginning of the pandemic, was you had a lot of people that were adopting animals because they knew they were going to be home and they wanted that companion at home with them. So as the pandemic drew on, a lot of us sat back and in talking to other shelters throughout the state as well, too, they all had the same concern: is, were we going to see an influx of animals that were being returned, whether it was 6 months after the start of the pandemic, a year later? And I will say, at this point in time, we've seen a few here and there. I don't want to say that it hasn't happened, but it's much less than what we thought it was going to be, which has been a really good sign. And what's actually been very cool as well is being able to see families who may have adopted their first animal at the beginning of the pandemic, and then they come back a year later and they sit back and go, "We've loved having this animal with us. We've come back. We want to adopt another one." So that really hasn't become a major issue. And even all throughout the past couple of years, pandemic put aside, there really hasn't been this major issue when it comes to animals coming into the shelter. We've had moments, and you have moments throughout the year where you might have an influx of cats at the beginning of the summer. That's really our cat season, our kitten season. So you'll see that influx of animals at the beginning of the summer for cats, and at certain points for other animals as well. But outside, those are normal. Outside of that, there hasn't been this huge influx of animals in the shelter during this period of time.
That's great. That worries me so much less.
Exactly.
That's great. In your time with the Larimer Humane Society, how have you seen an impact on Northern Colorado? Like, especially because you guys have been at that new facility, 2 or 3 years now?
Yeah, at the end of 2017 is when the facility opened up. So, during my time, it's been an interesting time for me over the past almost 2 years for me here at Larimer Humane Society, because there's been so much going on. You have the pandemic going on, and then you had the Cameron Peak wildfire that went on, and all these different elements that have popped up. So for Larimer Humane Society, the impact on Northern Colorado for us has not just been reuniting families with new animals, new family members, but also being able to give a temporary home to animals that needed it during those wildfires. And that's what really comes to mind when it comes to that impact, because at the height of the Cameron Peak wildfire, we would have 400, 500 animals here at Larimer Humane Society at one time. And we ended up, when the wildfires were all done, just about 750 animals in total that we cared for temporary housing. And wow, that is a huge process, because you have families that are coming here not knowing what was going to happen to their homes, not knowing what their future was. They were bringing their animals, whether it was a dog or several dogs, several cats, bringing them here to Larimer Humane Society and wondering how long they were going to be separated from their animals. So you were dealing with the emotional aspect of that, but you were also dealing with making sure that these animals were stressed out over this period of time. And that is where we see the impact of organizations like ours and other organizations throughout the state as well too, who have dealt with this over the past few years, that we provide that helping hand to people in a moment's notice. When you think about adopting an animal, it's something that you think about over time. When you think about having to bring your animal to the shelter for temporary housing, that's something you have to act on really quick. So we've had to be almost that shoulder for people over the past couple of years. And that's where I've seen a huge impact with our organization.
Do you yourself have any personal stories that you would like to share or that have really impacted you?
Yeah, I will say there are many stories that came out of the Cameron Peak wildfires, but there is one story, middle of 2021. We had a female pit bull here. Her name is Hershey, and she, at the time, was 10 years old. And Hershey was surrendered to us back in the beginning of March. And she was actually here with us for about 3 months, almost 4 months. She was actually, for me, during 2021, was the longest resident that we've had here at Larimer Humane Society. And just to see such a sweet dog, who she's an older dog, and a lot of people don't realize, or may realize too, that senior animals are the hardest to adopt out. A lot of people, they see a picture of a puppy and they go, I want to go adopt that puppy. Senior dogs, though, they do have to find that family that is ready to take on a senior animal. And Hershey was here for a few months. And just to see, I spent a lot of time with her, taking photos, taking videos. It was a few times a week I would go see her. And her and I created this bond, because when I would walk up to her kennel, she'd get excited, and she was very photogenic. She loved having the video camera on her. And when she got adopted by her forever family in the middle of June, it was such an amazing thing to see. And just to see, when you see photos of her when she was in the shelter, where she was happy, but you could tell she would have been happier with a family. And then you see her outside with her family. And we were getting update photos after she was adopted. And you could almost sense a smile on her face and relief on her face as well, too. And, it's great to hear how well she is doing to this day as well, too. That is definitely a story that still sticks in my mind from the time I've been here with Larimer Humane Society.
That's great. That's amazing. I love it. And can you tell us, for anybody out there who's listening, who wants to get involved, how can they donate to the Larimer Humane Society? whether it be volunteering or money?
Best way to find out how to donate, whether it's through monetary donations or to volunteer, is through our website, larimerhumane.org. We have all the donation information up there. If you want to donate on a recurring basis, if you want to make a one-time gift to the organization, that is on the website. Volunteering, what's great about living in Northern Colorado, it is a very passion-driven area for animals. People love their animals in this community. And to see the amount of volunteers that we have that come here on a daily basis to, whether it's just to walk the animals, clean their kennels, just spend some time with the cats, whatever it is so cool to see on a daily basis. But we're always still looking for new volunteers. What's cool right now is we actually have a wait list for volunteers. We have so many people that are interested in volunteering. We had to create a wait list. So the process works is you go to the website, larimerhumane.org, you put your name on the wait list, and then we do orientations, volunteer orientations each month, which essentially details, you'll find out more about, here's how you can help out in the behavior and enrichment department. Here's how you can help out in our development department. And it goes by each department, vet services as well. And after that orientation is done, you're able to then email us and say, hey, I'm really interested in volunteering here. I'm really interested in becoming a foster. So it's a few steps you have to take before you become an official volunteer. But I highly recommend, if somebody is interested, get your name on that wait list as soon as you can. And as soon as we have a slot open in one of the orientations, we'll reach out to you, set up that time, and get you moving forward to become a volunteer with the organization.
Wow, that's a great problem to have, I guess, is to have so many people want to help you. That's great.
It is, especially coming out of the pandemic where we had a long period of time where we didn't have volunteers in the building.
Yeah.
To come out of the pandemic and see how many people wanted to volunteer at that point in time, it was very heartwarming. And for us as a staff, it made us show how much this community backs the organization and supports the animals.
That's great. Justin, can you tell me, do you guys have any events coming up?
Yeah, so we have a couple of events coming up. We have so last year we started our 2022 calendar, which is where we had animals at different breweries throughout Northern Colorado and literally had their pictures taken at these breweries. And we have animals of all different breeds. We have guinea pigs that are sitting next to beer steins. It was such a cool thing to put together. And we're actually doing a calendar party where we're going to, have a last chance to buy your calendar with all proceeds going to support the animals here at Larimer Humane Society. That's happening at Crooked Stave Tap Room at the Exchange in Old Town Fort Collins on January 21st from 4 until 7. So if somebody's interested in buying a calendar, you can do it on the website, larimerhumane.org, or you can stop by for this event and just have a good time with us at Crooked Stave. And then just looking ahead to the future, we have put out a save the date. June 4th is when we will have our Fire Hydrant 5K, which is happening at Spring Canyon Park. And what's cool about that event is you can bring your animals out. They can take part in the 5K with you. And once again, it's all money that's raised here for the animals at Larimer Humane Society.
That's great. And hopefully closer to then we can speak again for June 4th and we can talk about that some more. And speaking of 2022, what do you think lies ahead for Larimer Humane Society in this new year?
That is probably the biggest question we're trying to answer here as well, too. It's getting a handle on the COVID situation. And I think we are just like any business and any organization in the country right now where you think you have it handled and then you get a curveball. So I think right now it's really finding that handle and making sure that during this period of time and these peaks and valleys of the virus, that the animals are still the main focus and the animals are still being adopted out to families that will provide them with the love and care that they deserve. And that we're able to help out everybody in the community during this time as well, too. And just like every other business and organization as well, it's staffing questions that come up for us as well. We ran into the same staffing issues that every other business has over the past few months. So we're always looking to bring on new staff members to help us fill those gaps and to help us with the animals as well. And anybody that has an interest in animal welfare, again, they can go to the website, larimerhumane.org. We have our careers page, and it's always updated with the latest on our careers. It's a great opportunity for somebody who wants to get into animal welfare to get jump started here at Larimer Humane Society into that career.
Okay, that's great to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want listeners to know?
Yeah, I would just say if you are interested in adopting, definitely stop by here at Larimer Humane Society. Our adoptions are open from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the weekend, and stop in because you may have the thought in your mind of the type of animal that you want to adopt, and then you come in and your mind totally changes because you fall in love with a dog, a cat that is totally different than what you expected. So always have that open mind. But if you are interested, please stop into Larimer Humane Society here in Loveland.
Perfect. Justin, I want to thank you for letting me interview you for Tuned Into NoCo, and I wish you guys the best for 2022.
Awesome. Thank you, Priscilla. We really appreciate it.